Hello and welcome to Game Changer Live. We were created to inspire with topics around overcoming perfectionism, coaching, leadership development, improving workplace culture, and so much more. We endeavor to bring the most authentic content, which is why we go live every Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We also bring on occasional guests about twice a month so that they can talk about their inspiration. And our motto for this channel is Together We Inspire. Let's get inspired today. My name is Daniel Connor. I'm an ACC and CPC certified coach. I'm a leader for my local chapter of the International Coaching Federation. I'm an energy leader master practitioner, and I bring over 15 years of experience in talent and development, focused on leadership development, onboarding new employees, communication, and improving workplace culture. I'm the owner of Connor's Coaching, which is a consulting firm that focuses on those things, as well as the host for this weekly show. And companies trust us to work with their leadership teams by transforming them into powerhouses of collaboration, improving company culture, decreasing turnover, and improving productivity. My clients say goodbye to silos and sad culture. They say goodbye to sabotage, and instead they learn to embrace passion, transparency, and cooperation. We learn to play together for the same common goal, emphasizing that for any one of us to win, all of us have to win. Today's topic is just about that specifically. It's about winning. It's about games that we recommend for leaders to play. Game playing is a secret tool that we use to ignite collaboration and cooperation among leadership teams. We're developing our own game specifically for this. It's going to be proprietary. I'm so excited, and I'm planning on working really hard on it in the new year. But it's just me working on this. So, don't hold your breath. It'll take some time to get there. I want it to be done right. But there are several games that exist out there that can be used as training programs or as training tools to help leaders learn to communicate better using the benefits and power that gaming brings to training and development. Here are some of just a brief scrape of the benefits that are proven through trial and through testing and through experiments that show that gaming can help encourage teams to be better. The first is that playing games bring an improved mental processing speed and attention to detail and memory by enhancing neuroplasticity. Specifically, games leverage two hormones that are essential for learning and development as well as for neuroplasticity, and that's dopamine and cortisol. These hormones drive home results. And gaming itself in a group situation improves social skills, it improves communication, and it improves listening just in general. Moreover, the games that we specifically recommend at Connor's Coaching improve collaborative play, or really focus on collaborative play, which is exactly what leadership teams want and need. These games are the opposite of games like Monopoly, where players are competing for limited resources, hoarding them, and trying to prevent other people from getting them. Instead, collaborative games pit a group of players against the game itself, and the players are using increasingly difficult game mechanics. Over time, the games tend to kind of constrict or make the rules more difficult. And ultimately, the only way to win these games is for the players themselves to work together to win. So these games specifically are really great at teaching some additional skills that add on to the benefits that I've already mentioned. These are working towards common goals, overcoming obstacles, thinking strategically and planning, learning how to share limited resources, and cooperatively overcoming shared obstacles. There's some added benefits in group dynamics here that I want to point out. The first is awareness of the importance of meta communication, which is the rules that we use to communicate with each other. how we listen effectively, how we communicate succinctly, or how we reduce conflict in the way that we communicate so that that communication is more effective. These games teach collaboration, compromise, emotional intelligence, conflict resolution, and so much more. These are all soft skills that are almost impossible to train in a traditional learning environment. That's what makes these games so magical, is that you can easily train these soft skills or sharpen these soft skills in your leadership team, as well as to prevent these skills, um, as well as overcoming the barriers or obstacles that usually prevent these skills from being trainable. It breaks down the siloing, it reduces conflict, it creates situational and emotional and relational awareness, which are hallmarks of emotional intelligence for every group member. Now, you could go out today for your business, buy one of these games, and I'm going to give you a list of games that I recommend. But there are some benefits of hiring someone, specifically me, um, to help install these into your business and make them effective leadership development tools. The first of these benefits is chaperoning. There are certain personality types that I've run across in playing games and training of very highly achieving people who really want to win. They mean well, but maybe lack a little bit in the self-awareness department with how it comes across to other people. These are people who steamroll. They want to win at all cost, and they do that by steamrolling other players. These are cooperative games are best when every player has an equal footing in the game and no one player is more important than any of the others. And that can be a problem with certain personalities. One of the benefits of hiring a person like me is I'm an outsider. It's safe for me to talk about those kinds of things. There's no shame in it. There's no, I can approach it like a coach and be curious about it. But also, we sometimes have to set some really strict ground rules to help benefit the table as a whole. Sometimes winning at all costs is not beneficial to the ultimate goal of learning, right? So that's the first benefit of hiring someone like me. The second benefit is that we can ensure that learning is focused on the soft skills that we actually want to learn. We do this by debriefing after the game, by focusing on the transferable skills that they actually worked on in the game to create consciousness and awareness of how those skills can be used outside of the game. Basically, we're taking those benefits and translating them beyond the game table itself. A third benefit for hiring someone like me is to make it safe, especially for players who are introverted, who have lower self-esteem, or who may struggle with language barriers. We can ensure that all players benefit mutually, and moreover, we create learning opportunities around those subjects for the extroverted, high self-esteem, native speakers so that they're more aware of the challenges that other players might be facing outside of the environment of the game as well, so that those can translate to learning again about the meta communication that's necessary to make teams effective outside of the game as well as inside of the game. And finally, the game itself can actually become a barrier of learning, especially if your team is new to playing games. The games usually have rules. They're usually fairly simple, but they can feel really complicated to new players. And especially the first time you play the game, if you don't have someone there as a third party who can help kind of usher and umpire the game along simply and effectively, then instead of learning how to communicate effectively, they end up learning how to play effectively together or learning the rules. And we want to focus actually on the meta skills, the meta communication, the soft skills that I talked about being the focus of training. So if if your team is not already a group of gamers who know what these games are, it can be very difficult to create learning out of them without someone like a trainer like me to come in and help facilitate those games. So I promised you a list of the games that specifically we use right now to train leaders. These are a list of my favorite games. I'm gonna name them today. I'm not gonna put links or anything for them. Feel free to repeat this part of the show if you want to get a list of them or write them down. I'll try to go slow here. Um, but I don't own any of these games. I'm not profiting by naming any of these games. These are just the games that I feel really lend themselves well to this type of gaming. My very favorite game right now for new teams to learn is a game called Flashpoint. Flashpoint is a game about firefighters putting out fires and saving people from burning buildings. And the thing that makes this game really useful or really good is that usually each player has a different focus or skill set, just like a management team. You have people in HR who focus on the people. You have people in sales who focus on the sales. You have people in marketing who focus on marketing, etc. This game has people who are really devoted to, one person might be focused on saving people, one person might be actually focused on the strategy, overall strategy of the group, one person is focused on putting out the fires, and by working together, you can meet all of the disparate priorities of this game. The second game that I recommend for new players specifically is Forbidden Island. In fact, there's a whole series of games that are by the same people who made Forbidden Island. There's Forbidden Island, Forbidden Desert, Forbidden Jungle. There's one that's based on, I don't know the name of it. I don't have it, but it's about the sky, like you're in a floating castle or something like that. All of these games have a very similar mechanic. Forbidden Island is probably the easiest to get into if you're brand new to the game. Basically, you play explorers or archaeologists who are on a sinking island that's going away quickly, and my computer is doing something very strange to me. But you're on a sinking island, for example. You're a series of adventures, and you have to rescue 4 artifacts from that island before it sinks into the ocean and is no more. So you're competing against the island, the time mechanic, but you're also trying to move across the island in various different ways. Just like Flashpoint, this game has different character archetypes that have different skill sets. The moves tend to be a little bit more simple than Flashpoint, but overall the mechanics are a little bit more complicated in this game. It's a little bit more difficult to win this game. So Forbidden Island is a good one. Forbidden Desert is the second game in that series, and it has a few additional mechanics and components, but I've heard really good things about it. I don't own that copy. And then Forbidden Jungle is a new one that I just saw today when I was just creating some notes for my show. Ultimately, the goals and the obstacles become two different things to focus on in these two games. So in business, this is like having to make sure you stay on budget and that you're being accountable and that your staffing levels are appropriate at the same time as trying to make sales and make profit, etc. You have two different priorities that kind of split your focus. And as a team, you have to navigate who's going to focus on the budget side or keeping the island from sinking, and who's going to focus on actually accomplishing the year goals. There's a real sense of group accomplishment from these 4 games that I mentioned. That's Flashpoint, the first one, Forbidden Island, Forbidden Desert, and Forbidden Jungle. These games are First of all, the Forbidden series is very cheap. You can get one for about $25 I saw today. That might go up after the holiday season. And finally, the last game that I want to recommend is way more complicated. I wouldn't put this game ahead of the others in terms of being a leading and development thing, but it'd be great for a retreat or a longer period of learning. And that is Tiny Epic Dungeons, which is a fairly new game to the world. It was one of those crowdfunded or crowdsourced games. And it's a game specifically that's about resource management. And it's not a huge step to move from the life and energy mechanic that the game uses as resources to being your people and your budget resources for your business, and how you have to manage those resources as well as explore and work together to overcome difficult monsters and beat a clock, have a pretty stiff time mechanic involved. There, regardless of which game of those you want to play, there are some specific learning objectives that you can create to go along with those games to really help drive home the soft skills. I want to give you some additional facts about why gaming is the right direction to go. The first one is, as a trainer with 15 years of experience, there is no other means that I have learned to actually train realistic, logical, and applicable communication skills than these games. Honestly, hands down, nothing that I have done has been more effective at teaching communication skills than gaming. Secondly, there are some studies that show that there's a 48% increase in employee experience for work cultures that engage in game playing. Gamification is another form of game playing that can be used to improve employee engagement. But overall, even if it doesn't matter if you have a culture of gamification, instead, if you just play games, you can increase your productivity with your employees by as much as 50% and your employee engagement by as much as 60% by playing games. Game-based training is also much more effective than traditional means of training, where you sit down in a classroom or sit on a computer and do a host of programming. It is 80% more engaging than any other form of training. And this also increases and drives home the learning effectiveness of gaming by about 80% again, of retained knowledge and retained skills. Brigham Young just recently did a study in 2021 that shows that workers who game together for just 45 minutes a week are 20% more productive as a whole at work. And that is pretty impressive, because that isn't even getting to the group benefit of playing games, right? The communication skills, the improved effectiveness. The other thing about games is that cost-wise, they are high on return in investment. It costs about $25 to buy one of those games, and all it takes is about 45 minutes to an hour of gameplay once a week to improve your productivity. $25 cost and about 1 hour every week for a month. That's 4 hours total. The return on investment is clear. Consider hiring an additional person like me to come in and lead a workshop, lead some game playing like this. I charge as low as $2,000 plus travel costs to come in, depending on the size of the business, the scope of the communication issues that are in existence, and the time needed to roll it out based on the size of the teams. It's a sliding scale, but it starts as low as $2,000. Our plans can also include culture fixes for other teams in your organization, not just leaders, to help not just the leadership team be more collaborative and cooperative, but to help the whole company as a whole be more collaborative, more cooperative, and to work towards strategic goals better and with more transparency, combined with a package around culture and around coaching. This can really drastically overhaul and ignite the productivity and reduce retention, or reduce loss of employees, increase retention, improve retention. Your employees will be quitting left and right. That's not what I meant. And that, again, that's why we go live, is so that we can make these kinds of mistakes. The other half of my business is focused on overcoming perfectionism. I am a recovering perfectionist, and we go live specifically because I would edit these videos until I looked like a Hemsworth brother. It's a big push, and I just don't have the desire to do that, because I would be attracting the wrong people for me. I'm attracting the people I'm meant to attract. So every mistake is an opportunity to connect with people a little bit better. I want to give some final thoughts about game playing today and why you want to do it. This is basically a summary of what I've talked about so far. And that is that cooperative games have the potential to combat conflict, improve productivity, teach emotional intelligence, and so much more. The bottom line is that combative and conflict-laden leadership teams destroy workplace culture, increase your employee turnover, reduce your employee productivity, and ruin the chances of meeting your team's full potential. Instead, consider hiring a consultant like me to come in, teach collaboration, teach cooperation, and use it using the power of collaborative and cooperative gameplay, because that, I believe, is the solution that you've been dreaming of. And moreover, if you're still not convinced, consider this. I offer 100% money-back guarantee that I deliver these results exactly as promised. And if you are tired of having your leadership team snipe, silo, or sabotage each other, consider contracting with Connor's Coaching now. We fix every personality issue on your leadership team. And that is a big statement, but ultimately the goal is to improve your company culture by addressing the leadership dynamics as they exist and improve them by heightening the soft skills of your leadership team. Plus, we make it fun. And if you are interested in hiring us, boost your company culture, and drive home success, you can email me directly at daniel@connorscoaching.com. I'm going to drop that in the chat really quickly here. But if you're watching this video after we go live, then you can find that information in the comments for this video. I just have to wait until it goes live. Thank you so much for tuning in today, for listening to me talk about cooperative gameplay and specifically using it to address the leadership dynamics of a leadership team. I am tremendously grateful for your time in watching this show, but I would be even more grateful if you took a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel for regular content, and tune in each Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time for more inspiration. Next week, we are going to be bringing on a guest. It's a returning guest, so I'm really excited to see her again. Until then, bye.